Be me. Greater than 16 years old girl from Chicago. Public school kid, cafeteria lunches every day. Bus rides with scratched seats, gum under tables. Friday night football games, cheerleaders loud and glowing. Looked just like every other girl in the crowd. Except I carried something nobody else could see. A heavy shadow wrapped around my chest. One word that followed me everywhere, even in sleep. Shame. Afternoons after school all looked the same to me. Bell rang loud. Sneakers squeaked down waxed hall floors. Cafeteria pizza smell still clung to my hoodie. Doors burst open. Kids rushing toward the curb. Moms in yoga pants waving from shiny SUVs. Starbucks cups in hand, nails freshly polished. Dads leaning on Lexus, BMWs, polished Escalades. Suits crisp, ties sharp, sunglasses catching the sun. Phones pressed to ears, keys dangling from fingers. Then there was my dad, standing off to the side. Old jacket patched clumsily at both elbows. Boots so worn the soles were almost gone. Scarred hands. Rough, sometimes still holding a broom. Dust coating his shoulders, sweat mixing with Chicago wind. Eyes tired, lines cut deep across his face. But his smile wide, like nothing else mattered. He waved hard, called my name across the crowd. My chest burned. I dropped my head down quick. Pretended not to hear, pretended he wasn't mine. Friends glanced, waiting to see what I'd do. I shoved my hands in pockets, walked past fast. Every step heavy, shame dragging behind me. That was my secret, the part one never told. Not the grades, not the boys, not even crushes. Just shame. Later at recess, sun warming the blacktop hard. Jump ropes smacking pavement, chalk lines almost gone. Friends circled around, asking the usual questions. What's your dad do? One girl leaned in. I laughed quick, voice sharp like broken glass. Business, always busy, I lied without blinking. They nodded fast, no reason to doubt me then. Safe lie, but truth burned like fire inside. Every evening, same walk home with heavy backpack. My dad carried it, one strap digging his shoulder. He always asked soft questions, voice low and warm. How was school today? What did you learn? And me? I threw back one-word answers. Fine, nothing, okay. He never pushed, never argued or pressed. Just nodded slow, silence hanging heavy between us. That silence cut deeper than any cruel words. At home, Mom whispered tight in the kitchen. Don't buy a coat. She needs books first. He nodded again, never complaining, always giving. Empty hands, full heart, that was him. I watched, but still pretended I didn't see. That night, I stared at my bedroom ceiling, wondering if lies were easier than telling truth. Wondering if shame was something I'd ever escape. But shame stayed, thick as Chicago fog outside. Weeks later, teacher gave us new assignment. Write about someone you're proud of, she said. Class buzzed with excitement, pencils tapping fast. One kid shouted, my dad's a surgeon saving lives. Another bragged, mine's a lawyer, closing big deals. Girl next to me smiled, my mom got promoted. My stomach dropped, palms sweaty against blank page. Voices screamed inside my head, lie or tell. Lie, right businessman, safe and simple answer. Or truth, the man with dust and scars. Pen shook in my hand, paper stayed empty. That night dragged long, moonlight spilling on desk. I remembered his chipped mug with bitter coffee. Jacket thrown over chair, same one for years. 5 AM alarm blaring, him stepping into freezing air. Coming home with trembling hands, shoulders covered in dust. Still reaching for my bag, still smiling proud. I started writing, line after shaky line. About sacrifice, about mornings, about hands that built. Truth bled onto paper faster than I could stop. Presentation day hit. Classroom buzzing with voices. Kids bragging one by one, stories polished shiny. My dad saved a life last week. Mine just closed $1 million contract. My mom bought a brand new car. My throat tightened, palms damp against wrinkled paper. Teacher called my name, eyes all turning my way. I stood up, hands shaking, voice breaking hard. Tears pooled quick, but I forced words out. I read about his jacket patched at elbows. About boots with soles that barely held together. About scarred hands still carrying my backpack home. I said loud, he's not a hero to world. Voice cracked, but I kept pushing words forward. But he's my hero, forever and always. Room went silent, even air heavy and still. Then clapping started, slow at first then louder. Teacher leaned close after, whispering soft in my ear. Your father would be proud of you today. My chest cracked open, shame rattling inside. For first time I felt something new, pride. That night I carried essay home trembling inside. He sat at kitchen table, lamp buzzing low. I slid paper across, hands almost dropping it. He read slow, lips moving with each word, hands trembling against the edge of the page. Eyes glistened wet, breath sharp and uneven. He looked at me, voice softer than ever. You make me proud every single day. That broke me, tears spilling fast, arms reaching wide. I hugged him tight, first time in my life. His jacket rough against my cheek, warmth soaking in. All the walls I built shattered in seconds. For first time ever I didn't feel shame. After that day, I stopped hiding from truth. I held his hand, even when kids laughed. I sat beside him at boring PTA meetings. We shared cafeteria pizza Fridays, greasy napkins everywhere. I saw him with new eyes, sharper and clear. Noticed every detail I once chose to ignore. The way he stitched his jacket instead of buying. The way he hummed while sweeping empty streets. The way he always asked, "You eat yet?" Years rolled forward, time moved faster than I thought. He slowed down, but never really stopped working. Rain poured, snow piled, winds cut like knives. Summer heat bounced off asphalt, sweat dripping constant. Through it all, he kept pushing, broom in hand. At my high school graduation, dads in sharp suits. Polished shoes, expensive watches, proud grins wide. He stood there too, same old jacket on. Worn boots planted firm, eyes brighter than any tie. I walked over, diploma heavy in my hands. Pressed it into his palms, voice steady proud. This is yours too. You earned it, I said. He laughed soft, eyes wet, hugged me tight. In that moment I saw more than just a man. I saw a sacrifice stitched deep into every wrinkle. Saw strength in every scar carved on his hands. I carried that image like fire inside me. Not shame anymore, but something close to pride. Truth replaced the lie I told for years. He was no businessman, no polished hero. But he was mine, and that was enough. Time marched on, leaving deeper lines on his face. Wrinkles spread, breath shorter, steps slower each day. But every morning, he still left for work. Boots crunching across cold sidewalk, jacket pulled tight. On one freezing Thanksgiving morning, I chased him. A scarf in my hands, heart thudding fast. I wrapped it around his neck, hands shaking. He smiled wide, voice cracking like brittle glass. All I need is your smile, he whispered. My throat closed, words caught somewhere deep inside. He never asked for anything, not once ever. Not a new car, not shiny clothes, nothing. All he wanted was to see me happy. That truth stung harder than any insult could. I realized how much he carried for me. Every book, every pair of shoes, every chance. His hands built all of it, brick by brick. I finally saw the weight of what he gave. A quiet hero standing where no one looked. And still, somehow, I once felt shame for him. One evening I sat with him on porch. Autumn leaves skittered across cracked concrete steps. He leaned back, boots stretched, breath slow and heavy. I asked him why he never complained once. He chuckled soft, eyes drifting toward city lights. Complaining doesn't put food on the table, he said. Simple words, but they hit like thunder inside. I thought of every sacrifice he made silently. Every morning before dawn, every night home late. Dust on shoulders, blisters cracked deep, yet smiling still. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I held back. He reached over, squeezed my hand firm and gentle. You're my reason. That's all I ever needed. Those words carved themselves into my chest forever. Truth so clear I could barely breathe after. For years I saw shame where pride should have been. But now I carried his story like armor. The man in patch jacket, my hero unseen. Not in textbooks, not on screens, but in me. And I knew I'd never hide him again. College years came fast, city bigger and louder. I watched kids brag about their parents' careers. Doctors, lawyers, executives flying first-class trips. I used to shrink in those conversations, silent. But now I spoke with steady voice instead. My dad sweeps streets, keeps them clean for you. Faces froze, some laughed, others didn't know what to say. But I didn't flinch, not anymore, not ever. Because his story deserved to be told loud. I carried pictures of him in my phone. Hands scarred, smile wide, jacket patch still hanging. Every time I looked, I felt stronger inside. Calls with him always ended the same words. "Did you eat?" he asked, never for himself. I answered yes, even if it was a lie. Didn't want him worrying, didn't want him carrying more. But deep down I knew he always sensed truth. And still he only said, "Good, that's all I need." That love heavier than any shiny paycheck could buy. Senior year rolled around, stress piled higher each week. Papers due, exams crushing, sleep almost gone. I called him late one night, voice cracking. "Dad, I can't do this, I'm not enough." Silence hung before his calm, steady voice answered. "You've always been enough, since the day you arrived." Those words cracked something open deep inside. I cried harder than I ever had before. He just listened, patient, steady, letting me fall apart. No judgment, no anger, just quiet, unshaken love. The kind that holds you together when you break. Next morning, I saw his text waiting for me. "Coffee's bitter, but it keeps me going, like life. You got this." I laughed through tears, strength rising back in me. He taught me lessons no professor ever could. About grit, about giving, about what really matters. And for once I realized I wasn't chasing grades. I was chasing a way to honor him back. The man who carried everything without ever asking return. The man who stitched his jacket instead of buying new. Graduation day came with sky bright and blue. Crowd buzzing, cameras flashing, caps ready to fly. Students lined up in neat rows, gowns swishing. I scanned the bleachers, spotted him right away. Same jacket, older now, frayed at the cuffs. But his eyes shone brighter than the whole stadium. When my name was called, applause echoing around. I walked across stage, diploma shaking in my hand. But instead of keeping it, I carried it down. Went straight to him, ignoring stares and whispers. Pressed it into his hands, voice steady but soft. "This belongs to you as much as me." He froze, tears streaking across weathered cheeks. Crowd blurred away, just him and me standing. He hugged me tight, tighter than ever before. His rough hands held diploma like sacred treasure. And in that moment, I knew truth clear. Every step I took was built on his shoulders. The old jacket, the worn boots, the endless sacrifice. That was the real honor, not the paper in my hand. Life after college came with harder lessons too. Jobs that paid little, bills stacking up fast. But every time I called, he answered calm. "You'll figure it out, you always do." He never told me what path to choose. Never pushed, never judged, only listened close. That kind of love is rare, I know. While others bragged about fancy inheritances waiting, I had something richer, something money couldn't buy. A voice reminding me I was already enough. I started saving, dollar by dollar, slow but steady. Dreaming of one day giving him rest finally. No more 5 a.m. alarms, no more cold winds. I wanted to hand him keys to peace. But he always waved me off, smiling tired. "I'm fine. Keep your money for your life." Still I planned, determined to give him more. Because everything I had came from his sacrifices. My victories were built on his quiet labor. The world never saw, but I did every day. Then came a winter colder than before. Snow piled high, winds sharp enough to cut. He still went out, broom in hand, jacket thin. I begged him to stay home, rest for once. But he shook his head, smile soft and stubborn. "Streets won't clean themselves, someone's got to do it." I watched him leave, heart aching with guilt inside. Hours later, I found him sitting on the stoop. Hands trembling, face pale, breath shallow and quick. Scarf I'd given him wrapped loose around his neck. I rushed over, dropped to my knees beside him. Fear gripped my chest tighter than ever. He looked at me, eyes tired but still kind. "Don't cry, kiddo, I'm just a little winded." But I saw truth written deep in his face. Years of labor carving lines no rest could smooth. I called an ambulance, hands shaking on my phone. Sirens wailed, red lights flashing against the snow. Paramedics lifted him gently, asking questions fast. I sat beside him in the back, gripping tight. He whispered soft through the mask, "I'm okay." But I could hear the weariness behind words. Hospital halls smelled of bleach and cold air. Machines beeped steady, nurses moved quick around us. Doctor said, "Exhaustion, strain, needs real rest now." Guilt crushed me, like I failed to protect him. All the years he carried me, and here he was, weaker than I'd ever seen, fragile in white sheets. I held his hand, rough but trembling now. Tears slipped down my cheeks before I could hide. I whispered, "You don't have to fight alone. He squeezed back, voice faint but steady still. Days turned into weeks of slow recovery time. I visited daily, bringing soup, books, quiet company. He joked about hospital food, still trying to ease me. But I saw how tired his body truly was. I told him my savings plan, how I'd help. He shook his head, smiling that stubborn smile. Your life comes first, mine's already been full. But I couldn't agree, not after everything given. I promised him out loud, I'll take care of you. Words heavy but true, finally spoken without shame. Nurses said he was lucky to have family. I thought about all the kids who never noticed. About how I once hid, lied, felt embarrassed. And now here I was, shouting his worth. His jacket patched, boots worn, hands scarred forever. To me they were medals, proof of love. No one else needed to understand it but me. I sat there each night until he slept, watching chest rise slow, thankful he was still here. Spring finally came, air warmer, sky brighter blue. He walked slower now, but still insisted on moving. Every step a little heavier than years before. I stayed close, ready to catch him if needed. He laughed, waving me off. I'm not that fragile. But I saw the truth in his slowing stride. We sat together on park bench near lake. Chicago breeze softer than winter's knife-edge bite. He looked out over water, quiet for a long time. Then said, I wouldn't change a thing. I asked, not even the hard years, the struggle? He shook his head, smile tugging his lips. Those years made you strong, that's all I wanted. My chest ached with both pride and sorrow mixed. This man gave everything, never once asking back. And still all he cared about was my strength. I leaned on his shoulder, letting silence stretch wide. No shame left, only gratitude filling the cracks. For first time in life, I felt whole with him. Years rolled into each other faster than expected. I built a career, steady paycheck, small apartment. He aged like weathered oak, strong but worn. Hair grayer, hands slower, laugh still just as warm. Holidays became my chance to spoil him finally. New jacket, sturdy boots, gifts he never bought himself. He protested. Too much, you shouldn't waste money. But I insisted, wrapping scarf tighter around his neck. I cooked dinners, set the table, made him rest. He sat smiling, humming old tunes between bites. I realized then how much had shifted in us. Roles changing slowly, me carrying weight he once bore. Yet he never stopped asking, did you eat yet? I laughed every time, heart swelling at the ritual. Because those words were his way of love. Simple, constant, unshakable, no matter the years. I thought back to school days, lies I told. Now I spoke truth proudly whenever anyone asked. My dad? He's my hero, always has been. One autumn evening we walked home slow together. Leaves crunched under boots, air sharp and crisp. He stopped midway, leaned against old brick wall. I panicked, asked if he needed to rest. He smiled faintly. Just catching my breath, kiddo. But something in his eyes felt different, heavier. We sat on curb, cars rushing past us. He told me stories I'd never heard before. About childhood, about dreams he once had. Dreams buried under bills, long shifts, quiet sacrifices. He said it without regret, only calm acceptance. I held his hand, promising I'd carry them forward. Promising his life wouldn't just fade into dust. Tears welled in both our eyes, unspoken truth clear. Time was slipping faster than either of us wanted. So I listened close, memorizing every single word. His laugh, his pauses, even the way he sighed. They became treasures, more valuable than anything else. My heart heavy, but filled with fierce gratitude. For every second still left beside him. Winter came again, snow piling along Chicago streets. He stayed inside more, body finally demanding rest. I visited daily, cooking warm meals, checking on him. He still teased me. Stop fussing, I'm fine. But I saw his steps slower, breath shorter each day. And still, he carried pride in his tired smile. We watched old movies together, his laugh filling room. I brought photo albums, asked him to tell stories. He pointed to faces long gone, friends from decades past. His voice soft but alive, recalling every detail. We stayed up late some nights, talking until dawn. Like two friends instead of father and daughter. I realized this was the gift time had left. Not riches, not big cars, just presence, pure and simple. I soaked in every moment, afraid to lose them. But also thankful I finally had no shame. I told him outright, "You're my greatest blessing." He squeezed my hand, whispered, "And you're mine." And in that silence, everything felt complete. The day came I always feared deep inside. Morning too quiet, house colder than usual. I found him still, breath gone, face peaceful. Jacket folded neatly on chair, boots by door. Scarf I once wrapped around him hung nearby. Grief hit like a wave crashing all at once. I sank to the floor, tears flooding hard. But mixed with pain was fierce gratitude burning bright. Because he left me with more than absence. He left me with strength stitched into my bones. With lessons whispered in every scar and smile. I arranged his things with shaking hands and care. Kept his mug, chipped but full of memories. Held it tight, whispering, "I'll make you proud." Funeral small, quiet, but filled with love. Neighbors came, telling stories of his kindness unseen. I realized he was hero not just to me, but to everyone who passed those clean streets. His life echoed in places I never noticed, and I promised to carry his story always. Months later, I stood at graduation once again, this time my own daughter walking proud on stage. Her eyes searched crowd, found me, smile wide. I thought of him, of how he once waved. Boots scuffed, jacket patched, but pride shining clear. My throat closed, but I clapped until hands ached. Afterward she asked, "Mom, who made you strong?" I told her truth without hesitation or pause. "Your grandpa, the bravest man I ever knew." I showed her the mug, the jacket, the boots. Pieces of a life built on sacrifice and love. She held them like treasures, eyes bright with wonder. I knew his story would live on through her. No lies, no shame, only truth carried forward. We sat together that night, candles glowing low. I whispered stories of him sweeping streets at dawn. She listened close, eyes wide, smile soft and proud. And in her face, I saw his legacy burning. A fire of love that time could never put out. Years later, I still walk Chicago streets at night. Cold wind cutting sharp, lights flickering on storefront glass. I see workers bent over, sweeping, hauling, cleaning quietly. And every time I think of him again, the man in patched jacket, boots worn thin, who carried me through shame into pride. Real heroes don't sit in offices or wear ties. They don't drive shiny cars to prove their worth. They show up every day, no matter the weather. They give without asking, love without limits. That was my dad, and always will be. My heart aches but beats stronger with his memory. I keep his mug on my desk, chipped and old. Every sip a reminder of sacrifice and love. Sometimes I wonder why I ever felt ashamed. But I know now, I was just a kid then. Kids chase shiny things, blind to true value. Adults carry the weight of truth and love. So I carry his story for everyone to hear. And now I'll ask you, watching this story, what about you? Who's the quiet hero in your life? Share it below. Let's honor them together today.